So I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Clever McCory, and I'm the Partner Relationship Manager at ByteSpeed. A lot of you might already be familiar with ByteSpeed, but just a quick little synopsis. We started out in 1999, custom building desktops and servers, and those would come with a 5-year warranty and lifetime tech support. So ByteSpeed has been a dedicated resource for school districts for over 25 years now, and we still predominantly work with schools for the most part. Um, but over the years, we've partnered with a variety of folks from networking equipment to cybersecurity, interactive flat panels, you name it. We've become a one-stop shop for schools, businesses, city and local government institutions. But one of our newest partnerships is Avigilon, and we're really excited about sharing our partnership with them with you today. So one of the reasons why we partnered with Avigilon is we wanted a partner that has an open architecture that allows you to bring cameras from other providers, that allows you to make decisions on, owning your own footage, being able to take the cameras that they sell you to another, brand if you so think it's a good fit for you. Um, and also that having access to the full suite of security solutions that Motorola provides. So Vigilant checked all those boxes. Again, having a solution that can fit into a broader set of security products, probably quite possibly beyond what you would need. In addition, giving you options for on-prem equipment or cloud equipment. So for all those reasons and, the very professional way in which they work, we thought they would be a great fit to how Bytespeed likes to serve our customers. So we're joined here by Matthew on the engineering side at Avigilon and Andrew. So Andrew usually helps with all the administrative sales sides of things. So if you're working on proposals, he's the guy behind the scenes working hard to make things happen, get you requirements understood and scoped out and things like that. So thank you again, and I'll give it over here to Matt. So would like to keep this open. So at any point in time, feel free to raise your hand, ask a question. We'll stop. We'd like to keep this as interactive as possible and make sure we tailor it to any questions you guys would have in particular. All right, Matthew, over to you.
Appreciate the intro, Clever. Thanks so much. And appreciate everybody's time today, taking the time to be with us and kind of learn more about what it is that we're talking about today related to the partnership now that we've got with the folks at ByteSpeed and Avigilon and broader Motorola Solutions. So I've shared just kind of some information related to what Clever just referred to, and I wanted to make sure that we talked really briefly about this. Andrew and I are part of a team at Motorola Solutions that's focused on the video security and access control world. But in the bigger Motorola Solutions company, we have a lot of things going on that are relative to safety and security for all kinds of different companies. We have a large focus on K-12, but also other industries like healthcare and manufacturing, places where it's really important that the safety and security of the people and the products and services that are in place are taken good care of. And so I'm focused here on the top left corner in the Avigilon Alta world. Alta is the name for all of the cloud services that we handle on the video security and access control side. And just under that, as Clever responded to, is Avigilon Unity, which is our on-premise solution. Both have a really strong place in the market. Both are really important to our success as a company. And we try to make sure that we understand the best recommendations we can make for the customers that we work with. Inside of what we talk about then on the cloud side of the world is how does our system work? And so I just want to take a quick moment to understand how this goes so that I try to make it as clear as possible. And if you've got questions on it, please let me know. When we talk about putting in a brand new camera, our cameras have an SD card in them. The SD card is sized for a specific amount of retention relative to 30 days, 60 days, or 120 days on the camera itself. We get more specific as we need to. And then those are connected. You can see below that also our door access side of things. I'm focused in the video, but a lot of the things I'll talk about will include the door access side of things as well. Once we connect the camera's connected through software. Sorry, not software. We're logging into a website, essentially a Chrome browser is where I primarily do it from. And so the software itself is parked in the Google Cloud. So you're I talk about our systems all the time as an on-premise video security system that you access through a virtual software that lives in the cloud. I think that's a really important distinction to draw because a lot of people presume that the cloud video, when we talk about video security in the cloud, that you need to have an internet capability that allows you to dump all of that video to the cloud all the time. If that's your desire, we can help you make that happen. And we can talk to you about what kind of internet pipe you need to do it and those kinds of things. But until you tell us that's a priority for you, we're not doing that. All the video stays on premise, behind the firewall, on the devices that you're using. And then you can bookmark things and they'll be copied to the cloud, or you can upload things and saving them, and that might get them to the cloud. So you have ways to do that, but it's not the primary focus of how we're dealing with the video. The video is yours, as Clever talked about earlier, and we want to make sure that you can maintain ownership of that in all ways that are important to you. So you log into the software from any device in any space. If you got internet connection, mobile devices that are Apple or Android or laptop or desktop, you get the idea. It doesn't matter where you're coming in from, whether you're app-based or browser-based. We have a really, really strong opportunity for you to utilize the software in the best way possible. A couple of things that are here, I think, that are important. That open and interoperable part that Clever mentioned before is a high priority for us. We're allowing third-party cameras, anything that's not an Avigilon Alta camera. We have the ability to bring in Profile-S cameras. Again, we can get more specific about that later if we need to. But we can bring those in and make them look and feel exactly like an Alta camera for the end users. And we can be in a mixed environment where you have some old cameras and some cameras that are brand new. And so we allow that bridge to be built. And we do that through a device that we call a cloud connector. The cloud connector is just an NVR with a Linux kernel on the backside. So we do all the updating on that box, and that box is where you're going to store video for third-party cameras, and where that third-party camera video is going to be gathered with all the analytic data that we're focused on. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a little bit. We're focused on the safety and security side as well. We have SOC 2 compliance, if that's important to you. We're doing the NDAA part of our job, which is a priority for almost everybody these days. And in terms of data residency, we're keeping things private that need to stay private. Everything that we're hosting or using or moving is encrypted both at rest and in motion. And we're making sure that all of the security that you have as a priority for the data that you're gathering in the video side of things is as secure as it possibly can be. We focus on a lot of integrations. These are just a couple of examples. A lot of these are Active Directory based, so that when you bring in our system, a user that has access to other Active Directory parts of your infrastructure can be brought into this at the right permission level, and they see and are able to utilize the software in the way that makes the most sense for them. Not as an admin, but in their right place in terms of the ecosystem. And then when they leave on the Active Directory side, they're out Active Directory. It also removes them on the video security side, and that's obviously a high priority. And a number of different ways that we're engaging these integrations that are a priority for everybody. The other thing I think that's becoming more and more important, and some of you probably experienced this, is that inside of what used to just be reactive video security environment now is becoming more and more proactive, not just with the use of analytics, which I'll show you in just a minute, but also things like sensors, environmental sensors that can be directly integrated into the video security world. And when a sensor goes off, you get a notification that provides you video view of the event that took place and your immediate ability to verify if that event was a priority for you. I think that's a really, really important thing that should become something more and more standard these days as you evaluate the solutions that are the best for you as an end user. Heat maps for knowing where people have been or vehicles have traveled over a period of time. The ability to do things like people counting so that you understand if a space needs extra attention from a cleaning and maintenance perspective, or maybe from a security perspective where you've got school resource officers or other folks that are helping to keep everybody safe, you can deal with the number of those people you need through the data that says we had this many people come in last year. This year, we believe we're going to need this kind of support. And so a lot of those things become really high priority when you realize how easy they are to engage for us from the perspective of how they go into the video security and access control world that Avigilon Alta can provide. I'll just take a quick pause there as I come over to the software. Any immediate questions related to any of the information that I've brought up so far? Anything that somebody wants to kind of jump in and ask about? Perfect. I'll take that pause as we're on the right track so far. Again, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or let folks know. Jump in as needed if you've got questions relative to how we're doing what we're doing. So I've logged into a site that I regularly utilize. As a login screen, the landing page will look like this. So once I'm logged in, I'm using just a Chrome browser, as you can see in the top of my window. And this particular login is, I have 9 different things that I can do. Each of these is a functionality. If I'm a super admin in a site, this site, I've got a second site pulled up here. This site allows me in as a super admin. These are all the functionalities that I might need to be able to use. So my landing page is going to be particular to my permissions and functionality inside of the individual site that I'm using. This particular site is an active customer site that they've allowed us to come onto. It's a building in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that in the base of the building, there's a BMO Bank site in the base of the building. As well, you can see here, there's a little coffee shop in the basement, and then there's a parking garage inside this space. So it's a good active building for us to be able to showcase kind of what's happening inside of the system. Just quick overview, this looks and feels very much like you'd be used to in any video management software that you might be familiar with. You're going to have a camera tree and functionality kind of here on the left-hand side. This starts with a 2x2 grid of the video that you can see, but I have the ability to create an individual layouts, as you can see here on the left that I've pulled up. If I need to see 16 cameras at a time, I can do that. We don't go higher than that. There's a couple of purposes behind that, but the main one that my experience tells me is that once you get past about 16 cameras on the same screen, it's pretty difficult to get down into the detail of what's happening on the individual video. So we allow at that point the AI to do the job of letting us know what's happening and become a proactive system. And I'll walk through what that looks like. If ever there needs to be a set of saved views or particular things that you need as a user to be able to automatically open up, you have the ability to save those and share them with other users in the system so that they might be able to come in and see these loading dock views or this exterior camera view that might be a priority for an individual that comes in and is engaged in their job for that day. Today, we're going to focus on the 4 I've got here so that we can kind of walk through some of the functionality of what's here. So first, we talk about AI doing the job. And so what does that mean for us? What's the specifics around that? I think the easy example today, it's a blustery day out there, depending on where you are in the country. There's a variety of different things. I'm here in the Midwest. I actually live in Des Moines, Iowa. We're on the edge of a storm today. There's a big blizzard that's happening about 50 miles to the west of me. I'm not in a blizzard, but you're seeing some of the back of that inside of, or outside of this building in Milwaukee, where this flag is obviously actively waving and wrapped around the pole. In a traditional on-prem or a traditional video security system, this would cause problems because I would be actively recording this at a high frame rate, and it'd be taking up a lot of space on my system. In our world, instead, I'm going to pull up some extra information layers so you can see how I'm going to refer to these. In our world, we're focused on vehicles and people as the primary reasons why in any scene we're recording at a higher frame rate. So in this case, moving vehicles in a scene or a moving person in a scene. The vehicles are purple, the person is blue. When those are present, we record at a higher frame rate. If this was a quiet scene except for the flag, this would be recording at a lower frame rate so that we're not just concerned about this. And you don't have to worry about rain and snow and all those other things taking up space in a server or on an SD card relative to what you're trying to accomplish. So that's super helpful. The secondary piece that I think is from a functionality piece and kind of what people are used to is in the timeline. Often people, in spite of all the great things we provide from an AI and search capability and that are out there in the world of video security today, in spite of all those cool functionalities, lots of users end up doing what I like to call scrubbing video, essentially entering into the what we call playback mode on our side in Alta. Now I've got a timeline here that I can manipulate through, and maybe here at 10:50, I can see the blue on my timeline is going to show me that there were people present. And so I might scrub the video to get to this moment near 10:50, and I see that the blue points me directly to the people or person that are present in that moment. It helps me get to the data and information that I want to see and that I'm interested in as an end user. Is this the time when those people were present that I needed to focus on? So this is a super helpful tool. It's not what I recommend to use as your primary resource to search, but it is something that provides valuable insight and information. So I pull this back a little more, and we see some more folks coming in and or out of the site. I want to know in any individual instance, where did a person come from and maybe where did they go to? So I'm going to take this person that just came out the front door and search that person. I'm in this moment. I suspect this person did an event happened around them and where they just happened to be in my location. So I'm going to take and search this. And in this window that I've paused, I've got a magnifying glass up there. That's my Sherlock Holmes moment. I get to search using that magnifying glass. And I just click on that individual. It highlights that individual inside of this list of video that I've got here. And I can hit this search button. You can see this is called a quick object search. I hit the search button. It opens up a new tab for me using the thumbnail that I've got on all of the cameras that I've got active on my system in a 30-minute time window. And the 30 minutes happens, this is the moment that I just used just after 10:45. It's 15 minutes before that moment and 15 minutes after. So this quick object search is giving me where did that person come from and where might they have gone to. And those, obviously, when you're searching for an event, those become high priority. You might have this moment, but you got to do a broader search that takes some time to put together. Our system then is going to allow the AI to be the thing that drives the data right to you and helps you understand what are the details of this. So here's the person. This is where we started. Here's another view, another view. I've got a variety of things where this individual is showing up for me across a bunch of different places. And as I do this, if I add videos using the plus sign, they push them to the top, and it creates what I like to refer to as a film strip. Inside this film strip, whatever I click on, however those events acted for me and where they belong in this timeline, they get put in the right spot. From the oldest on the right to the newest on the left, you can see this string's about 12 or 13 minutes from 10:35 all the way over to 10:46. And it's something that I'm now going to be able to save or bookmark or export in this order on behalf of whoever I need to share this with. So that functionality lives up here on the left-hand side, and this share or save button. When I click this, I get three choices. I can export. This allows me to save it. I name it. It's going to give me MP4 formats of these thumbnails that I've got on our system when our cameras are put in place and you've got the equipment that's required to do audio. You have the ability to record audio in the scene. This is an important conversation for you to have as an end user with your people. So it would be, who are your legal team, your leadership team? In my geography, am I allowed to record? All those things become priorities in terms of saying, yes, I want this, or no, I don't. But we have the capability to turn it on, and it's an opt-in for our customers rather than an opt-out. You can also, when you export and download, you can password enable any video that comes out of the system so that there's an additional layer of protection on the potential privacy need or other issues that might come up where you want to limit the number of people that have access to the set of files that you're doing. If I hit export here, it's going to download to my downloads folder. If I want to set up a particular location for this to download directly to, I can do that. I can have a folder where all of my Alta downloads come to, and then I can deal with them in the way that I want to. I'm not going to download that one, but I'll show you quick the bookmark side of things. If I do this, it looks and feels very similar. Again, in order, name, maybe a description. Have the ability to either determine that I'm going to allow this to be saved as a bookmark for as long as I want, or I can determine a specific date on the front end and say 90 days from now, I need this to be able to expire. So on June 18th, this bookmark is going to go away unless I say go back into the system and save the bookmark for a longer period of time. And then I could share this bookmark with a group of people. Bookmarks are different because they're going to be saved either on the camera or the cloud connector as appropriate, and also copied to the cloud. So there's two different places where that data is stored. Bookmarks saved in the cloud, you have an unlimited number of bookmarks, and it does not affect retention in the cloud if that's the place you're putting them. So bookmarks can be a super effective way to do it and share internally without having to do any kind of downloading or extra pulling out of information and data. If I save this, it'll give me that bookmark and a link to what's there and invite the people that I shared it with. To me, the great one is this external link. So I'm doing the third choice in that list there. Still in order, oldest to newest, put a name, maybe a description. It creates this unique URL specific to these 6 clips or however many that I've put together. I can share the link that's going to get created here either for a specific amount of time to the end users. If I send this to Clever, he has access for 2 weeks, and then it's going to expire for Clever. It doesn't mean that the data goes away. It just means the access to that data using this link is going to expire for that person that you send it to. Again, I can say then on the external link, I'm going to allow the viewer to download what I send them so they can have those MP4s in order, and it's going to play out. And if I want to include audio, and then password protect. Once I create this, I'm going to do 2 things with it. So you see it dumped in on my clipboard. I'm going to pull this up on my screen so you can see it. And at the same time, I'm going to dump it in the chat so you all can take it and pull it up on your individual devices and see how simple it is. Essentially what happens with this on the backside is so I put it in the chat. If you want to go access that and bring it up on your device, you're welcome to do that. The experience for the end user is that they've never had to log into my system. They don't need access to anything or a piece of software to play this, and it's giving them the story. And in this particular moment, you can see, interestingly, on 3 different views. On this interior camera, here that person is leaving. On this exterior camera, same thing. On the third one, same thing. And because this moment in time is simultaneous, it brings all that video up at the same time. Once that person comes out of the view of any of the individual cameras, it's going to get rid of those and move to the next thing and play it. So it's telling you the story. Where did this person go to? Where did they appear next on the screen? And the ability for that person then to be kind of tracked through where it is that they might be available. So this becomes super easy, and I think a primary way that a lot of people leverage our system to be able to share it with internal people, with leadership, or more importantly, maybe with law enforcement or legal ramifications related to an event or something that gets pulled out.
The important thing to note on what Matt just showed you and the reason he shared that link is that we don't have to download a special player or anything along those lines to be able to share this and say, hey, this event happened. Is this what you're looking for? Okay, yep, that's the person. Now can you give me a broader range of where that person was, what kind of vehicle they came in, so on and so forth, so that we can really get down to, finding this individual quickly, and then, take the next steps of where that might go.
Yeah, and so I'll take just a second, and again, pause here. Is that something anybody from an end user perspective, could you see this being a useful tool for you in the way that you utilize your system today? Could it be an advantage for anybody?
And if you wanted to respond, you could respond in like the question and answer area in the bottom. We can view those, but just wanted to pause there if there's any interaction or anything. Is this faster? Is this better? Is this easier than how you're searching today comparatively with your current video systems? I'm not sure if anybody is typing anything in, or if they're still watching your video, but
yeah, it could be a raise your hand thing here too, guys, in the bottom of the center. We've all become pretty familiar with Zoom, but you're welcome also to raise your hand at any point, and we'll keep an eye on that and make sure that you're getting what you need. So as I look at this search again, just kind of seeing what's happening inside of it, there's other ways that people are used to seeing systems work. So I'm going to show you a couple different things really quick. I can do a search for a person with a description that I received. Maybe they were wearing blue on a particular day on the top half of their body, and I want to look on all my cameras for that individual as they appeared in a time period that was essentially between last Thursday and last Saturday. So it's a quick ability to say, what are you looking for? That guy with the blue jacket, blue shirt on, where was it on all the cameras that I have access to on this individual building, or if you have a number of locations, maybe across all the buildings that you have, and then in a particular time frame that you're aware of. And when I engage that search, it's going to bring to the top of the information humans wearing blue, and the bluest blues are going to kind of roll to the top. You'll see lighter blues move down a little bit, and it's going to prioritize the sort of navy primary blue color for you to get to what you want to. And then again, as I get to an individual, maybe it's this, you saw the person, maybe it's this person that I really want to see. I've discovered who I'm searching for, and this woman was a priority for me. Instead of fishing through all of these results that are coming up for more, I can go and use this as a primary resource and say, show me the similar versions using a similarity search of this individual. And so now it's going to take those blue results and further filter to give me this woman across a number of locations inside of my facility. And you'll see her push to the top. I saw her in a number of places. So it takes the AI just a second, but it's going to do the work for you to go find this person in a number of places. There's a first one. I saw her come over here. She's coming out in the courtyard. Well, I saw her once earlier before she was coming out of the elevator. So there's a number of spots, and essentially I'm letting the AI do this individual work for me inside of the system so that I don't have to be concerned about spending 2 hours hunting for more results or more things that give me that primary focus of what I was looking for before. So you can see this becomes a really, really good way to kind of limit down and get to the data that you're looking for pretty quickly.
And just so everybody's aware, this is not a pre-canned anything. This is literally Matt choosing that this person is wearing a blue upper half and not choosing a lower half body color. One of the things that allows for this solution or this type of a search to really make things efficient is so specifically I'm up in Minnesota, and today it's blustery, it's cold. If I come into a building and then I take off my jacket or my vest, and now all of a sudden I have a red jacket on, but now I have a blue shirt underneath, my appearance could change through that. And now I, on the snap of a finger, can change that appearance that I'm searching for. And now I'm searching for somebody with red, or I'm searching for somebody in blue as he did before. So the way that this, on the fly can make things, or now my appearance change of this person, now I can change that appearance, and I can move through that as we go, really swiftly on the fly.
Yeah, easy applications again for where else could this apply? I'm going to look for a person. I'm curious every day. It seems like the UPS or FedEx person seems to be coming at a different time every day, and I don't get it. Why is it so? Or I don't know when there's a package and I've got a kind of an uncontrolled location behind my building where things sometimes get dropped off. I want to make sure I've got a valuable item coming in today, so I'm going to do this search for a person. And in this particular case, I'm using what we call a line crossing search. So I'm going to pull this up and say on this screen in this location, my person is going to be bringing something up this ramp to drop off inside of this receiving dock. And I want to know when a person crossed this bottom line so that I see when they appeared. And this happened to me in the last day. And so I'm looking for anybody coming up that ramp. And I'm going to get all the results of humans coming up that ramp only in the last 24 hours. So I'm going to get a quick way to kind of melt down, here's what it is. And this is when that individual came across that line. So you can see a whole lot of stuff in there.
Matt, do you want to touch on the point that you made there with the different search? So obviously we can do humans. Matt talked about before that we are looking for vehicles as well. We can search for not just human characteristics, but we can search for vehicle characteristics. And we can also, I don't touch on the object as well on there under the person. Did that person have a bag? So there's some additional things, and I'll let you kind of go through that, but I think you know where I'm going with it.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of kind of detail. The more you know in any individual search when you're looking for an event that happened, the easier it becomes when AI can be a part of it. So again, in the vehicle side of things, if we're searching for, particularly for a sedan SUV pickup, and we know in this case that it was, a white one, that's going to be obviously a lot of vehicles, but it eliminates anything that's of a different color. Or on the person side, Andrew brought up, in this case, I want to know only people that showed up with a bag or without a bag. I can say there's a lot of people in this school who showed up without a bag in my school because bags are pretty common. That's going to eliminate a lot of traffic. We can do on the human side, male and female. This is really looking for characteristics like longer hair, smaller form versus taller form. Those kinds of things are priorities. And we can get into, like on the vehicle side, I use the example of maybe FedEx or UPS. If you have a picture of the FedEx person in an older set of video coming through, and you want to load that image of the side of the FedEx truck in, you can use that image as the primary thing you're searching for and limit down the trucks just to the things that show up with FedEx on it at the top. So just a lot of detail and data that we can get to in terms of where the searches go. In addition to all that, again, I mentioned when we've got sound capabilities set up correctly inside of our systems, we have the ability to do two things. Number one, analytic audio events, things related to glass breaking, like in a car or a parking lot. You can see gunshots that are there. That's obviously become a more primary conversation, unfortunately, over the last 5 to 10 years. Things like ultrasonic panic alarms. If you've got something set up at a front desk where someone's alerting to something uncomfortable that's happening, but you don't want it to set off a loud alarm, just this ultrasonic panic alarm that's going to alert people, authorities that are important. All those things can be picked up by our systems, and we can trigger video related to those events to send directly to a cell phone, as an example, and give a link to the video that's happening on that space. So just a lot of different things going on inside the system where the AI is letting us do some pretty important stuff. Inside of this system, on top of that, we're doing map views. And mapping is not something unique to Avigilon, but the way that we're doing it inside of Avigilon Alta, I think is pretty special. So we can place the cameras on a map. The maps have a particular format. You put the right map in here and we can lay the cameras on. But what you're seeing here are people and vehicles moving live with the timeline in the bottom inside of this view. So inside of this larger space that we have in this is the back end of the cafe, essentially. I click on a person. There's a human over here on the right, and it's going to focus. It's going to give me that person behind the desk that's over there. Or there's another person waiting in line at the coffee shop. And so it's giving me views of all these people. Well, it's lunchtime. Look at all the people that are coming out the front door. It's lunchtime out the front. So all these people are about to exit the front door, and I can follow them out the front and see exactly where they're going because they'll enter another camera out there, and I'll be able to see them as they walk out on the street. So the nice part about these things are, as I search them, each of these individuals is then searchable in that quick object search from what I've got in the thumbnails that I see. Gives you a lot of data and information, just quick overview of a larger space. And this is, I can pull this timetable back and say, what was happening back here at 10:30? Why was this an important time? And move my timeline back to that, and it will update the objects on the map and show me exactly what was happening at that time. So again, a pretty powerful tool here. I'll also, inside the map, bring up our heat mapping tool. This is becoming more and more common. It is something that we include, and it's a part of what we're talking about here. So there's a 1 hour time frame where we're looking at where have people been in the last hour. Not where are they standing now, not where are they concentrated in this moment, but over an hour, where have people traveled inside the views of the camera. And this will give you kind of where the busy times are and what's happening there. So a lot of powerful data and information can come just directly off the heat map kind of situations that are there. As we can, and the heat maps relative to the way that things function, if I go back on this 4-pane video view and bring everything live again, I can actually bring the heat maps up on the live views on the cameras. So those can be applied just about anywhere that I've got live video that's there. You notice they popped in the top 3. I just want to bring this up because it's pretty logical. There's almost no activity of a human in this space because it's the parking garage. The two spots that are in this last hour, this is the only place that anybody appeared as a human in the space. You can see there's a tiny bit of green in there. I just want to make sure that I pointed that out and we're not just missing one down there. So we really like that the heat map piece can be a pretty interesting and powerful part of what it is we're doing. Just on the backside to kind of bring it up so that you can see it. One of the things that I think is really interesting and important is the ability then to take this and see in this particular location. We're talking about a bunch of devices that are not our cameras. So we referenced this early in the conversation, and I want to bring up the point now because it's easy to illustrate right here. Inside of this view now, I've got a whole bunch of access to view the specific cameras that are here. And these, in this case, are axis cameras for the most part. We've got a Hikvision here. If I continue to scroll down, I'm going to see a couple other options, but mostly axis, a little bit of Hanwha, things that are not our Avigilon cameras. And we're still able to do all the things you see here. As I put those information layers on, you get the boxes around the people and the vehicles, and the analytics are still engaged everywhere on the site. So it makes it a really powerful way for you to bridge the gap between your older technology, the things you're using now, bring it up to speed and get a lot of cool things happening now. And then we get a pathway to talk about adding in, as you replace cameras, adding in Avigilon Alta cameras so that you have cloud native endpoints, and eventually you get to remove the server altogether and not have anything in your IT closet except a switch. So it really lightens up the load. And when you get to that point inside of our ecosystem, now we're talking about Avigilon being responsible for all the updates of all of your cameras and making sure that you get the newest software and functionality that's available inside the system. And you're really not touching anything at that point. There's very little update and maintenance you have to do because as a part of the agreements on the licensing side of things, those things continue to happen on your behalf. On a proactive side of the system, I think one of the things that people get frustrated with, there's cool toys and tools that all kinds of different video security systems do, but that can be difficult to access, difficult to understand from an end user's perspective, just hard to get all the details out of them. So I'm going to set up a rule. I opened up my rules tab. I'm going to set up a fresh rule here and just say, I want to know when somebody's hanging around my generator. So I'm concerned about this area at particular times of the week. So I'm looking for somebody loitering around my generator for more than 5 minutes. And I can set this up to be under any parameters that I want. At this point, I'm going to do any human. I'm going to choose the specific camera where I know that I've got that generator. And in the back of this, now I'm going to create an area of interest specific to the space where that generator is. I need to know if anybody's hanging around this area for more than 5 minutes. It's a high priority for me. I need to keep it safe. When I do that, then I can say, this is really, I'm not worried about it on the weekdays because that's kind of normal, but maybe on the weekends and maybe on particular days, I can set up times, or I can add as many of these layers in as I want to, understanding what is important for me in terms of when I need to pay attention to that generator area being violated. Once I set that setup, now I need to understand, what am I going to get out of the back of this rule? What makes it proactive? So I did the what I'm looking for a person hanging around my generator on this particular view where I know I've got it. So that's the where. When am I concerned about it? And now the actions on the backside. If you have somebody watching video, we can do a pop-up. This will give a red box around a piece of video that's going to show you the live view of this action happening. Secondary to that, we can send an email. The email might be to a particular group of people or to everybody if that's a thing that you want to be able to do. And all of this is set up on the backside. You can preset a template message, and then you can actually have some extra layers of information that goes with the email relative to what's happening and how things kind of work on the backside of that email. So you can receive an email notification if that's your priority. We can send an external link. So in this case, it's a link that goes to your cell phone, of a hyperlink in a text message that you can click on, and it brings you directly to the piece of video that shows you what happened in the rule. And so that to me is really powerful just in terms of bringing the data to you, allowing you to validate that that event was something that you need to be concerned about and respond to it appropriately. Inside this link, you can set up a description of what's happening there. And maybe this is, you're going to allow the person to download that piece of video, like we talked about before on the external link side of things. So there's some template things you can set up on the backside. And the final one here that I think is really intriguing is in this space where there's a generator, maybe I want to turn on a light and play a pre-recorded message that says you're in an area that you're violating our privacy and we are going to remove you in a certain amount of time. Police will be called after that time period. You can set that up on an IP horn speaker, and the webhook can facilitate that for you, even if it's not our tool to be able to do that with. And then the really nice part is once I set up that rule, I have the ability to test it inside of my system. And so there's a lot of powerful things that happen inside the rules engine. Alarms are going to be set up the same way. I want to set up in a rule. If I want an alarm to trigger off of it, if I want an event to happen, I can set up an alarm specific to a rule. So there's a lot of, and we try to make it, like I said, kind of easy. Once I'm in that setup, what do I want? Where do I want it to happen? When am I concerned about it? And what do I want to be the thing that drives the data on the backside for me? Those become
Matt, we've
really,
got a
really
question out in regard to potential of showing some of the access control integration and what that might look like, door stations. I know, so Matt specifically is our specialist on the Alta video side. And yes, there are integrations between the two and different things that we are able to accomplish with that integration. That's probably another, we can dive deeper into that with you if you'd like at a later time, or we can briefly just kind of talk over the top of what the integration looks like and kind of what things you can be alerted to by the system.
Yeah, so just real quick, and again, Andrew's point's a great one. My focus is video. That's where I live and kind of breathe every day. I've got colleagues that get into the details of what the access control looks like. But I'm going to jump over to the secondary one that I had before. I showed you that it had these 11 things that I can do as an admin. When I get into this in a connected ecosystem side of things, so this is the video. If I come up to this top and just in what we always refer to as a Google App Switcher, I can hit that button and say I want to see the video side of things. And it's going to use that video side here. But if I pull up access, it's going to open up a fresh tab in my browser. And it's going to give me the front end of the access portal. It's going to show me what's happening, give me some of the defaults that are here. And then again, from an active station side of things, each of these events that are happening show up here. I'm less familiar with this side of it, but again, if I had a way to an entry dashboard, particular people coming in, you get the location, the individual, who was it that was there. So there's a lot of data and information inside of this, and in the levels of what's happening inside of access, it's very granular. You have a ton of control over what you want to happen and how you want it to be happening, and getting into those data. So essentially, when I log in, if I've got both sides of the system, this app switcher shows up and I'm just logged in. It's a single sign-on, and I've got video on one side and access on the other. If the access side shows up and there's a door event where someone presses a button and wants in, I can trigger video on the backside of that and marry those two things together and send the notification related to the person that comes. Or if I really get in deep, we've got facial recognition on the video side that's automatic. If you want it, we don't charge to add that in. If it's set up correctly, we can validate that a person's there by sending the video of them at the door station, and you get a view of that human. If it's set up for facial recognition, we can also validate via facial rec, yes, that person belongs here, or that person is on my blacklist. I need to keep them out of my site. I need to know when they show up. Please, notify me. And even if it's on the door station that's got video on it, that video door can send over to the video side and say, hey, this was an event you asked me to alert you about. Hopefully those things help a little bit just in terms of how the two things kind of go together. One of the things I like to talk about a little bit is on counts. So I've got live counts on 4 cameras in my lobby. There are currently 3 people back in this initial building. currently 3 people, and this is a dynamic number that's going to continue to move as people move in and out of the space. So this side of it is something, then you saw this top one change over to 4. Inside now, if I go to a line crossing rule that got set up related to counting, in this case, vehicles, they have vehicle counts set up relative to their entry and exit of their parking garage. Currently, we know today there are 332 vehicles active in the site that are inside the parking garage. 376 have come in, only 44 have left because it's only lunchtime. And that count will be active and dynamic throughout the day. And then when we get to it, if we want the data behind an individual day or a series of days, it's downloadable in the right interval that you want relative just in a CSV file. Easy data to go extract and understand. You can preset this data to dump for you once a week or once a month, however you want to look at the data relative to what counts might be. And these things can be used for things like parking garages, but also in a school. One of the things that I talk about, because Clever referenced the school side, and we do well in schools, is also I'm a show choir dad and a marching band dad. I've got high school kids now, and we host events at our school. We want to know how to keep people safe. So how many school resource officers do we want? Well, look, guys, we had 5,000 people last year at this event. That means we need one resource officer for every 2,000 people, or whatever the standard is. It allows you to go back to your leadership or to the school board and say, guys, we need this many resources because we know from data points from last year, this is what we should expect for people to come. And I think that's really valuable just in terms of allowing you to drive things with data rather than guessing and kind of hoping that things are going to be done correctly. One last thing I want to touch on, and then we can kind of open it up for questions, and you can ask other things particular to the video side if you haven't seen, is I want to bring up the sensor side of things. We kind of touched on this very briefly early. I have a video set up of the MDF room, the server room inside of this building that we've been using. And inside of this building, essentially, we're concerned about the server room. We want to know temp, humidity, maybe water. Those things need to be set up. In this room, we have tiny sensors. They're about the size of a Scrabble tile that get double stick taped to the wall, and they're wireless to anything else. Those wireless sensors go back to a receiver that lives in the server room. In this case, it's really close. We can put them as far away as 1,000 feet in clear view in like a warehouse situation. But we can boost that signal, essentially wirelessly connecting those tiny little sensors back to the head end inside wherever the closest closet is. In this case, we've got humidity and temp that are set up with thresholds. And in the case where this particular threshold gets exceeded, maybe this is 85% humidity in this room is a bad deal for the servers. A notification can go off, a video piece can be sent, and alarms can be set to the right people so that they can respond to those areas as quickly as possible. So the sensor side of things is a big deal. A bigger picture than that for us as an organization, Motorola and Avigilon now own Halo. So if you're familiar with Halo devices as a vape and environmental sensor, that's the primary use for most people. Halo is a product now of Motorola Solutions, and it's something that we integrate very tightly with behind the scenes. So it can be unique to your situation, and you can just use Halos, and they're great standalone devices. But we also integrate them incredibly well into our platforms so that the functionality that the Halo brings to the table has effect and ability to be able to be utilized on the other side as well. So I'm going to kind of pause and breathe and open it up for questions. If there's more Q&A, people want to raise their hand or kind of open it up for some discussion, would love to have any feedback or questions that folks have.
One thing that comes to mind for me, at least, Matthew, is again, the fact that all these features that you showcased today, the different actions you can set up, etc., alerts, that it's not limited to, any particular camera type. So they can bring in cameras of theirs, you name it, and there's no limitations as to the extent of the integration or the alerts they can set up, correct?
Yeah, the functionality in a camera that can be brought in, the functionality is universal. So we validate that we can bring in that camera. We ask for a list essentially, and we'll have our engineering team go through it and say, yep, we can bring those in. or no, that's like a really old camera or a camera that's pretty proprietary that we don't have the ability to bring in, unfortunately. But we set those expectations, and everything that comes in can function the way you saw it function today. And everything I showed is standard with a license. There's nothing. That's the other part of this I think that's pretty great, and I love about the way that we operate. I'm not going to say to you, hey, that heat map was really cool, but I'm going to ask you for another $20 every camera for to put a heat map on. We make all of that functionality standard in a license that comes in. So everything you saw was something that is on a licensed endpoint. Particular to licenses, we license even multi-lens cameras as a single license. That's a differentiator for us as well, both our cameras and other cameras. If we bring in a forehead camera from Axis, that's one license on our side. So it saves, you get multiple views and a lot of information out of it, but we're only going to license one endpoint at that point.
A question in regard to who handles the map configuration, Matt?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Map configuration is pretty straightforward, and I'm going to give you a couple examples. So let's go to this map view tab that I was in. Bringing the maps up is easy. We try to put the information in front of you as an end user. So down here, you can see it. If I want to view it, that's here. If I want to edit it, that's here. Functionality of how this works. So we give you the tab if that's a thing that you as a user have access to. We don't let people who shouldn't edit the map. That's a granular control that you can put on. So the ability to drag a camera in from essentially the camera view, and you just say, I'm going to put this camera on this map. It's literally a drag and drop to the map. Any of these cameras go to the right spot. You can see I'm just dragging this around. And once you bring the camera in, then you set up the cone of view. It's very, very simple to be able to do. On the back side, if you have detailed information or questions about what you're trying to accomplish in any screen that you're in our system, in the map view, in this case, I'm going to go up here to the top right and look for the dog-eared page. And once I click this, it brings me out to another tab that brings me to our documentation portal specific to map view. So you're in the functionality that you were looking for, and it brings you to show you exactly what's happening. How do I do it? What can I put in? Sensors, speakers, point of sale integrations, other things that are there are all going to show up here. And how does it work? Configuring map view is kind of loaded right here in front of you, and it gives you examples of how things work. So we try to make it very easy to access the information and data all by yourself. But then beyond that, if you have questions for it, we primarily rely on Clever and the team at ByteSpeed to be the folks on the front end that might be answering your questions. And if they have further needs, they have the direct ability to get to us. And so do you as an end user. So we try to provide as much opportunity for you to utilize and access data as possible.
Does anybody on the call currently run a cloud-based type video solution that is similar to this? Or are you guys using on-premise or kicking the tires on looking at what might be new, or, just kind of curious of the familiarity of how this, compares to, how you're usually using this.
I wanted to point out, is there a limit also, Matt, to the views that you can kind of look at once? Do you have the ability to customize your dashboard a little bit?
You can bring in a number of views on an individual login. We usually talk about, so on one computer from a processing and viewability perspective, or one endpoint that's providing access to the system, we usually talk about a limitation of the number of views that can come into between 36 and 45, depending on what else, how big the resolution of the cameras are, and things like that. But on an individual view, again, you get into that many views, and there's a lot going on in terms of how much can you view. We try to allow and help people understand that the AI can be an advantage for them, and the need to view simultaneously that many things at the same time usually isn't necessarily required once we kind of talk through that. We have ways to work around it. We do have people using things like security operations centers where they've got 2 or 3, I'll call them login endpoints, where they've got a laptop A, B, and C, and they're doing 20 over here, 20 in the middle, and 20 on the right, and they're getting a ton of views. They're just doing it in a more efficient way.
Gotcha. So it looks like it's a mixture here. Some folks on-prem, and some on-prem Avigilon actually. And it does here a comment in Texas. We have SPED cameras with audio, and it's part of the VMS, but stored in a separate server. How does the VMS handle that?
Yeah, if you can talk about, I think SPED, they're using it for special education. I think if you want to touch on, what we record and the opting into audio and kind of the rules around that, I think that would be logical. And then, kind of answer that question. How does the Alta VMS handle audio recording?
Yeah, so from an audio recording perspective, your length of time where audio recording is saved is going to be specific to the retention related to the video. So if you have 30 days of video, the audio is going to go along with that. If you need longer than that for audio recording purposes, you would choose the longer retention time frame, and we would talk through what that looks like. By the way, I know we're doing this in Texas, and I know there have been specific conversations in Texas about this with Avigilon Alta. So I know it's being actively done. I'm not as directly involved in those conversations, but I know there's some hard and fast rules about sped rooms in Texas and what's required in them. So if you want more additional information around it, I would engage my colleagues in Texas who are really familiar with how that's working in their systems. More generically, as Andrew just talked about, audio recording is an opt-in, not an opt-out. So we have it available. You tell us you want it. You get to turn it on. So we turn it on at the larger level, at the district level, let's talk about. And then in the smaller instances, if you just need it in the sped rooms, you turn it on in the 6 sped rooms where you need that recording to be able to be held. The audio is held in the same place the video is held. We're putting all of it together. If you need it extracted, we download it. Just take it out and you bring the audio with that downloaded video as an event occurred. If the requirement is to separate the audio out, I'm just not familiar with it enough to give you what the answer looks like in the systems that we would be engaged in down there. But like I said, I know we're doing it. I'm just not exactly sure how it's being handled down there right now.
Looks like that's the extent of the questions that we have.
Yeah. And we want to be respectful of everybody's time. It looks like we're in just about a minute up to time here. But yeah, unless there's any lingering questions, Andrew, Matthew, any final comments for us here?
Yeah, nothing particular. Definitely appreciate everybody's time. Hopefully this was at the very least informative, if not eye-opening, just in terms of what's available out there. If you have further questions, please engage the team at ByteSpeed and let them know how we can help, if there's something they can do just in terms of more data and information around our systems. Anybody wants to engage the door access side of things more deeply, we'd be happy to facilitate a meeting with the right folks so that you can get the information that you want.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would just funnel your questions or your inquiries in through your appropriate ByteSpeed rep, and they will bring them to our team, and we'll align the correct team to get the answers for you. But thank you for attending and joining us today.
Awesome. Yes, we'll be sending a recording of this meeting. So if there's other folks in the district you'd like to take a look at, the same video, it'll be available to you. Or if you've got any further requests, you can expect to hear from us. We'll send a quick email after this. So thanks everyone for your time. Have a great lunch and a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.